Our first Oasis storyteller of all time is going to be Natalija Pollock. Natalija, let's give her a hand.
I'm much shorter than Mike. Hello, as Mike said, I'm Natalija, and my story is called A Dating Adventure. I got divorced after almost 6 years of marriage, and before my marriage, I grew up in a very conservative Christian household, so any boyfriend experiences I had really did not prepare me for the world at large. So here I was, single at 27, and we're now in the digital age, where you can have a relationship, you can meet someone, develop it, and break up all on your smartphone. I was terrified, honestly. How was any of this going to work? Well, I decided to take the safe route and just bury my head in the sand for a while. I spent my days mostly working at my job and thinking about where I was going to live, and I joined some social groups, a sci-fi book club, different things like that, a gaming group. I went out to karaoke one night with one of the groups, and side note for those of you who are single and have any kind of stage presence, karaoke is a great way to pick people up. After I got up and sang, a guy from the group approached me. I'll rename him here and call him Luke. Luke walked up to me. I would say he was about 6'4", 6'5", kind of a wide body type. Looked like maybe he'd played football in high school or something. I wasn't really initially super attracted to Luke or drawn to him, but I told myself when I became single, I was gonna be open to any people or experiences. So I said, sure, let's go out on a date. We went to a dive bar about a week later, and we were sitting out back in the outdoor area in some picnic tables and kind of just hanging out, when this man approached our table and sat down next to me. He took my arm in his hands and he started lightly stroking it with his fingertips. He told me that he was an artist and he wanted to really feel the lines in my tattoos that the tattoo artist had felt emotionally when he was tattooing me. So he's stroking my arm, and I look across the table at Luke, and I can see he's getting more and more uncomfortable as this goes along. And I'm thinking, oh man, I hope he saves me from this. Luke suddenly stood up and said, I'm going to the bathroom. Left me alone with this artist guy. Our date ended very shortly after that, and I thought for sure there was no way there was going to be a second date with Luke. Well, I was wrong. Luke called me up and told me he wanted to take me out to dinner. He said, drive up to my place, meet me there, I will drive us to the restaurant, and we'll go to dinner together. Luke lived over an hour away from where I lived, so I drove all the way up there and got there. He took me to, I would say, a mid-level Italian restaurant, similar to Olive Garden, but independent. We got there, and Luke was making lots of choices for us together, but only penny-pinching ones, like just water for both of us, and oh, a salad costs extra, she doesn't need that. He also said no to dessert, which honestly, I love dessert. And I was thinking internally as we were there, would it be rude, would I be offending him if I just said, hey, I'll buy dessert just so I could have it? I decided against it. During dinner, Luke told me all kinds of things. He shared with me that he went to college and how important that had been to him. He got an accounting degree even though he didn't like it just because it was a safe job. He then explained that he thinks everyone should go to college, and he looked very pointedly at me and said, have you gone to college? I have not. So then he got kind of upset and was telling me that I really needed to go and asked me what my immediate game plan was to go to school as soon as possible because he thinks every person needs to go to college. So then he started telling me about the night before this. Even though he had set up a second date with me, he'd gone to a wine club mixer to meet other women because he'd been in several engagements already, and these days he was hedging his bets and setting up dates with as many women as possible. After dinner, we went back to his motel room. He invited me upstairs. At this point, I would have liked to probably go home, but I didn't know enough about dating to know how to get out of anything, so I said, sure. We went upstairs, and I sat down at a rickety two-person table. He hands me a big plastic cup and says, do you want an alcoholic beverage? Yes, I did. He started to pour the alcohol, and he said, tell me when, and then I'll stop. I was not having a good time, so I let him pour. He looked at me, stopped pouring, and said, "That's enough for you," and pushed the cup towards me. I was in a place in life where other people making decisions for me was not welcome, and this had already happened previously, so I was pretty ready to go home. I grabbed my purse, put it in my lap, sipped my drink, and tried to think of how I could get out of this room. He noticed that my purse was in my lap, looked at me and said, "Your purse is in your lap. Are you trying to leave? Don't go. I want to keep talking." Caught, I said, "Okay," put my purse down, and prepared myself to keep interacting with him. He started telling me about how before he moved to Houston, he'd spent about 2 years of his life without a job, sleeping on friends' couches, his entire life centered around his score of World of Warcraft. He then told me that his lack of direction in life was based on the fact that his father had died almost a decade before. Now, I am not one to judge someone's way of processing grief or how long it takes them to get over something in their life. But on the other hand, I felt like it was a big chunk of information to give me on a second date. So then he started asking me about myself. It came up that I had been recently divorced. Luke did not take this information well at all. He started asking me how I could even be dating already, what I was thinking, and he didn't ask me anything about my story or my situation to find out any more about it. And all I could think was, I'm okay with you living in a long-term stay motel. In your 40s, you lived for World of Warcraft for 2 years, and you can't even understand my personal situation for one fact? Okay, I needed to get out of here. I was determined, so I stood up and I said, "Well, I have an early morning tomorrow at work and a long drive to get home, so I think I better head out." Luke stood up, stood in front of his doorway facing me, and opened his arms, filling the entire doorway, and said, "I just can't let you leave without giving me a hug." So, slowly, gingerly, I walked into his warm, moist, Axe body spray smelling embrace, and as I stood there, wrapped in Luke's arms, something clicked, a switch flipped in my mind. It was something mixed with fear and the awkwardness of the situation. I wrenched myself from his arms, opened the door, ran out the front door, ran down the hallway, 2 flights of steps, down to my car, jumped in my car, gunned it, and left. Luke saw me run away from him. He saw how much running I did. And let me tell you, I don't run for fun, just on my own, or for sport, or really for any reason at all, so this was amazing. I figured since Luke watched me literally run away from him, there was no way there would possibly be another date. I was wrong. For weeks afterwards, Luke called and texted. These texts and messages were filled with little facts that I never thought he could possibly remember about me. One thing I can say is that if any of you are single out there, maybe going ahead and saying yes to absolutely every person who shows interest in you is not the best way to go about dating these days. One high point I guess I could bring from the entire experience is that if I'm forced into a sweaty, awkward motel room hug, I can run like the wind. That's my story, thank you.